Hello and welcome to another scrapbooking process video. I'm Tracy, also known as MercyTiara, and I make scrapbooking process videos and more here on my channel. Today I am working on a layout which is going to feature a gallery wall of labels, and I'm going to start by making my base. Now, in order to make this base, I am looking for 3 or 4 different patterned papers that will work well together. I am using the Bloom Kit and add-ons from MercyTiaraKits.com, and this beautiful paper from Pebbles from the Sunny Blooms collection is probably one, if not my favorite paper in the whole kit. So I'm going to be using that as my base, and then I would like to tear a piece of this. Now, this is not a bird-themed layout, but I just really love this paper. So I tore it. I did use my ruler to give myself a guide, but I tore it kind of left and right to get a little bit of a wavy, imperfect edge. And now I am doing the same on this one. It's way over on the other side. There's a chunk cut out of this from the last layout that I did. This is one of three layouts that I made in one sitting while I was live streaming with my patrons. And so the final, that darker green bunny paper, also from Pebbles Sunny Blooms, that one was this is going to a little bit my overall of a wavy look to it. And then this middle one is torn with also a wavy look. And to do that, I just use my ruler to make sure I don't go too far to the left. And I just kind of, as you saw, tore the paper back and forth to the left and to the right. And then I did want to, this one looked a little bit too extreme. So I did want to, I guess, calm down some of the waviness of it by tearing off some of the waves. I'm going back with my fingernails and I'm just roughing up the edges and also curving and curling up the edges of the torn parts where the paper is super thin. And I tore these in such a way that they could layer with each other like this. So this last one, I also have to rough it up a little bit. And this last one is a little bit wider than I needed it to be, but I'd rather have it a little bit wide and then trim it down than not wide enough. Although if it wasn't wide enough, you could easily just hide that with the other layers. So it kind of doesn't matter, but I do like having the ability to kind of envision it at different widths. And I ended up going with it being a little bit more narrow than I originally planned. So I layered it so that it was the way that I wanted it to be. And then I'm just going to trim off the extra paper that overhangs the left-hand edge here so that it all lines up like this. This becomes my background for this layout. So it's these 3 torn papers layered on top of that beautiful floral paper that I love so much. I'm thinking I'll probably tuck my photo like this. I went with a vertical look for the layered paper there because I knew that I'd be using this very vertical photo, and I thought that this would play off of the verticality of the paper of the photo. Oops, I found some Easter eggs in my scrap room when I was looking for some paper. This is a very old piece of cardstock from my stash. You can see it's actually a little bit yellowed on the edges of it, but I don't mind. It's very, very old. And it's just that beautiful tealy, bluey color that picks up really nicely on some of the teal colors in that bunny paper. It's not exactly the same shade of teal. It's a little bit more bluey than the teal in the bunny paper, and it's lighter. But I do really like what this color gives to the layout, so I'm going to use that. It's always good to incorporate your stash whenever you get a chance because, you know, we all have lots of paper laying around in our room and it's nice to get it onto a page. I think that the craft matting that I was originally going with would have been fine. And here I'm thinking about double matting it. So I've got both the craft and the teal, but I'm deciding to just stick with the teal, mostly because I want the layers to the left of my photo to be the main kind of background element. And then I don't want much else on this page. At this point, I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do with the space over to the right. I'm thinking I probably don't have very much journaling to say, but I do want to put a title. I'm not sure about the title, and so far I have bird houses and bunnies on this page that don't really have a reason to be there, and that's okay. You can just put them there because you like them to be there. But one of my patrons who I was streaming with suggested the title Lovebirds, and also I think she said Honey Bunny or something like that. Either of those titles would pull the theming from the paper into my title. And, you know, sometimes you work one way where you start with the title and then you bring in paper to work with your theme. And other times you can kind of work backwards and say, well, I've got these bird houses, so why don't I call this Lovebirds? So thank you to Harmony for those two ideas. I ended up going with Lovebirds, which is a really fun title. Now I'm looking at these titles here in this thicker pack from the Summer Blooms collection, and these came in the add-on for the Bloom kit, and any of these titles would have been fantastic with this page, but I'm going to end up going with a created title using the letter stickers that came in the kit. So this is a set of letter stickers. They're foam letter stickers with a printed cardstock top layer to them. They're from Maggie Holmes. They're from a little bit of an older collection, but they worked so well with this kit that I couldn't resist adding these to as the main thicker for the Bloom kit. I am going to choose different letters for each letter in the word love. And so this is what I went with. And I really love that mix and match look that comes with this thicker. So I thought I would really kind of play with that idea. Another option with this set of letter stickers is to use all within the same. So I could have spelt out love just in the green, but I knew that I wanted the next word, which is birds, to be in these green letters. So I didn't want an entirely green title. So this way it kind of gives me a chance to let those thickers really shine for what they are, which is the pretty multicolored patterns, and also use the green letter stickers for the word birds. And those are really cute, puffy letter stickers. I adore them. What I really love about them is they've got a quirky feel to them because they're different sizes. And I really love that about them. Now, at this point, I'm thinking, let's put some of these printable labels on the background. And I'm thinking maybe quite a few. So I'm cutting out quite a few here, thinking I'll probably cut more than I need and audition some of these around the page. I have to make a little handle for this one because I can't get it in my punch and still hold it in place while I punch it. So I just used my glue to make a little handle for that. That's a little trick for punching shapes that you can't reach. The printable labels, these come with the main kit, and it comes with 2 sheets that you can print at home or send out to Staples or wherever you get your stuff printed. I print mine. I've printed them before on my inkjet, which is just a regular, not too expensive inkjet printer. I have a EcoTank. I think it's Canon. And I've also printed them. These ones are printed on my laser printer at home as well. So you can print them both ways. They come out beautifully no matter what. Now I have these words on these 2 rulers. One is a Thicker's alignment tool, and one of them is just a thin centering ruler. And I'm thinking, man, they fit so perfectly right there in the center of that photo. Now, we specifically posed in front of that photo because we love it, but it is really glared out on the photo. So I'm not sure if I might just put my title on there. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Just talking about those printables, one of my patrons had asked a question about what printer I use, and I was just telling them what I told you, which is laser printer or inkjet will work fine. They are in a printable PDF, which is a higher quality color PDF specifically for printing. So they should print as well as they can on whatever printer you use. I have this set of cut aparts that came in as one of the pattern papers in the main kit, and there's another set of it in the pattern paper add-on. And I'm just going to cut down one of these. This one says Weekends, and this is the brewery that we went to on our weekends. It's since closed, so this is actually our last night at that brewery. And so I cut that off and I'm going to put that tab right there. I haven't actually connected it yet, but I'm just going to put it there. Now I had rough cut all of these labels. And so now I'm just going to go back in and fussy cut them. Labels are one of the easiest things to fussy cut. And so, you know, the oval one is probably the hardest to cut in a nice smooth way. But I find that with long straight edges, it's best to use your larger scissors because one single cut can get you mostly across the whole length of the label. And then I use my smaller scissors to just go in and cut out the little details. So I didn't do a great job of cutting this one, but I'll go back and fix it in a minute. There we go. I just had to fix it there. At this point, I'm thinking about floating a couple of maybe clusters of labels. I thought about maybe having them be strewn across the top. And then I started to think about maybe making what would be like a gallery wall, like you would have in your dining room or in a hallway or something, with all photos and embroidery hoops and that sort of thing, kind of going for a bit of a cottagecore look. So these labels end up looking very similar to frames on your wall, and that's the look I'm going to go with. I'm just going to run with this idea once I had it. And so I am going to finish fussy cutting these labels. And they come in 3 different sizes, and two of these printable label sets are sized so that the circles will be easily punched with punches that you may already have with a 1-inch punch or with a 1 7/16 inch punch. So this little fancy label is probably the trickiest to cut out, so I am specifically using just one of them. It's also the only orange label in the whole set, so I'm making sure that I include that because I love orange and wanted to make sure it was on my page. So I am laying these all out so that I don't want 2 colors to be side by side. So I've got 2 light blues right beside each other, and I've got a little gap up there that I thought I'd just put a little smaller circle there. Now, when I punched that one, as you can see, it was too close to the edge, so it doesn't have a nice circular edge on it. So I'll punch that again in a few minutes when I realize. At first I thought maybe you won't notice it, but yeah, you notice it. So I'm going to repunch it. It's easy enough. I printed up more sheets of these than I needed because my printer was giving me grief and the first 2 got jammed, but they're still usable. So I just accidentally printed up multiple copies. I'm going on a little bit of a fishing expedition and fishing out any labels that I think I need to switch colors for. So this darker blue, I wanted to make sure showed up more than just one time on my little gallery wall, because otherwise the one kind of pops out too much. So now I've got 3 of that darker blue color, which works really well with my design. It's balanced like that because they are spread across my little cluster of labels. Now, some of these labels I'm going to be adhering straight to the background paper, and some of them I'm going to be popping up with foam adhesive. Here I go just re-punching that exact same label, and before I put it on the page, and I'm just going to switch out the foam so that that one is popped up. There we go. And this one I wanted centered in the space kind of horizontally between the left and the right. And these 2 circles beside one another, you might not want to put 2 circles beside each other, but I kind of liked the unexpected look of that. So I put those 2 together like that. One popped up and one flat down. And I kind of offset it by putting the oval right below it, a little shifted over to the more extreme left. And I like how these labels just cascade down my page. I was not planning to put my title way down here, but I had it on the ruler. And as you can see, I was just about to go audition it around the page, and it fits so perfectly there that I couldn't resist just putting it there without even auditioning it anywhere else. So I'm going to put love right there. And it's not all that legible against that patterned paper background. So I am going to outline it. And at first I thought, well, I should outline it in green. And so I'm looking for a dark green. It turns out all of these pens, even the ones where the barrel seems like it's a dark green, they're all bright greens. And so I ended up eventually finding a teal. I was going to use my indanthrene blue, which is my very favorite pen, but I found this one, which is a little bit darker. It's still brighter than what I want it to be. I could have also done it in black or in gray, I suppose would have worked well too, but I ended up going with this green, and it's good. It's like a teal green. It picks up a little bit on the teal that is matted around the photo. So I just very carefully outlined around the outside edges of where the foam of those letter stickers meets the background paper, and that just gives the title a little bit more presence on the page. I'm going to grab that eye. I'm always envious of people who can use tweezers effectively. I just can't. So I ended up just picking it off with my fingernails. Nature's tweezers. So now I have to think about what on earth am I going to put in all of these labels? I realized I had not yet placed this tab or adhered the tab to the photo, and I ran out of staples. So here I am opening a brand new pack of staples. Many, many, many years ago, a scrapbooker named Tracy, who used to watch my videos, she sent me a pack of tiny attacher staples. Tracy, if you are watching, thank you so much. Those staples lasted me until this very day, which was yesterday. So thank you for that. I didn't have to buy tiny attacher staples at all for all of these years. One pack of those refills will last you a good long time, is the point that I'm trying to make. And thank you to Tracy for that. I am just going to spread those out a tiny bit more. They were a little bit too scooched up close together. I wanted the spacing to be a little bit more uniform across all of those. These little glasses are so cute, and both Scott and I are wearing glasses in the photo, so I thought that that was a really nice little embellishment. And I love the boldness that the glasses give because they're nice, sharp black. I'm toying with the idea of floating these hearts in between the labels, and I can't decide. Kind of like I like how clean it looks without them, but then they add a nice amount of boldness. I like the bold, I like the clean, I like both of the looks. So I'm not going to glue them down quite yet. I'll just kind of keep on percolating on that idea. I'm going to add some puffy stickers. That cloud and rainbow is really adorable, and I love those two little chicky birds on the and I want a little heart between them so that they look like Scott and I. So I thought about, there is another heart that I could pull out and still have the 3 on the background and also a heart between the chickies, but I think I'll do something else. You'll see me do that. I have a little tulip there and a little banner that says Blossom. These are all from the puffy stickers that come in the embellishment add-on. Not all of these things are going to stay here. I'd love to put a little heart between those little chickies, but that heart is way too big. I left it there just to remind me to put a heart there. And then I have 2 more little birds here, but I think I'll just... Yeah, I can't decide if I'm going to put 2 birds or just the one. I like the single purple bird off to the side there with the white space left beside it on the label. I don't feel the need to fill up every single label here, so... I'm looking in my miniature stamp set stash. I have these little 2x3 stamp sets that I keep beside me as I scrapbook. And there was a little tiny heart, and I inked it in pink from Stampin' Up! Ink and just stamped it between those 2 little chickies to make them look like they're in love. And then I did a switch between the bunny, which I felt just needed to be on the page because it's just so adorable, and Harmony was encouraging me to get that bunny on the page. So I did a switch with the tulip. The tulip was cute, but not quite as cute as the bunny. And I'm now thinking that that large-ish blue label that's right below where the purple bird is, I think I'm going to fill that up with a whole bunch of sentiments. So I just had to look at what sentiments I had. I still had my miniature stamp collection out on my desk. At the last minute, I decided to do second generation stamping here. Second generation stamping is a really great way to get different shades of ink with one ink pad. So I'm using just plain black here, but I'm off stamping it onto a scrap piece of paper first, and that gives me a gray shade instead of the black. And I'm just putting a bunch of different sentiments there. One says a very happy life, one says dreams, it says live out loud, you rock, so great, and chill. Just putting them randomly around that label. This is a little stamp set that I no longer have the packaging for, so I can't remember what the manufacturer is, but these little phrase stamps often come on these tiny little 2x3 stamp sets. Most of my 2x3 stamp sets that I own come from either Studio Calico or from Ali Edwards. So if you have belonged to either of those kit clubs or just bought stuff from those places, you might have some little phrase stamps already in your stash. I've decided to make a bow embellishment using the ribbon that comes in this kit. I love ribbon on scrapbook pages and I always forget to use it. So I've been including it in kits as a way to try to encourage myself and other scrappers to use more ribbon. It just gives such beautiful texture to a page that, why not? It's just such a versatile supply to have. And we all have tons of it in our stash. So dip into that stash and grab yourself a ribbon. I especially love this white ribbon on the white label. It's very elegant tone on tone kind of a look. I poured some of those sequins into a little dish so I could see them better. And I'm going to put a little triad of confetti pieces here beside the little purple bird. I've got a pink crimped one and a little yellow one, and also an adorable little blue flower. It's iridescent, but it looks blue in most lights. I'm feeling like I need something by the bunny, but not that blossom banner that's there right now. I need something different. So I just trimmed down another embellishment to make it basically into a little word strip, and it says you belong here. And I'll put that so that it underlaps the bunny, and then I moved the blossom so that it layers over top of one of the legs of the bow. I'm using my liquid glue to glue these chipboard pieces. These are not adhesive back chipboard, it's just plain chipboard, so you do have to glue them in place. But at this point, I've decided that I do like what the hearts add to the layout. It does just add a little bit of pizzazz, I think, because they're black. Now I'm just going to add a tiny little puffy sticker here. This is a little bee. I just felt like this tab needed a little something. I ended up leaving it there so that it looks like it's flying right towards us in the photo. And I just had to glue down that little purple bird as well. I grabbed my roller date stamp. This photo was taken on April 27th. It was our last time at the Off Track Brewery. We kept going thinking it was our last time, and they were basically staying open until the taps ran dry. And we just kept thinking this was our last chance, so we'd go. And then the next weekend it would still be open, so we'd go again, and the next weekend, and the next weekend. And so we ended up going, I think this was our fourth time going to our last time there. And my daughter was joking and saying that she thought that might be just their marketing strategy is to keep them busy all week, all summer. But they did sadly actually close the day after this photo was taken. So we were happy to have gotten there one last time. So this layout is pretty much done. I am still having another look, and here is the layout I did right before it, so the two of them together. If you haven't watched my Happy Memories process video yet, please check it out. It is in the playlist for the Bloom MercyTiara Kits playlist. And I remember now what I did here. So I was starting to feel like these labels are blending in a little bit too much with the background. I completely forgot I did this until just now. So I was feeling like I'd like to add maybe a drop shadow or some type of shading underneath of those labels just to give them a little bit more presence on the page and to pop them up off of the background. Now, I tried out a bunch of different Pitt pens that were going to be too dark. Maybe they wouldn't have been too dark because what I ended up doing was super subtle. And I think it does make a difference, but very subtle difference, as you can see here. So I am using one of my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, and it's a very, very light gray. It's called Warm Gray 2. And as you can see, it just adds a tiny bit of shading. Some of those already have shading because they're popped up off the page, but it was enough for me. I felt like, yeah, it only took a few seconds to do it, as you could see. And I did feel like they do just kind of pop up a little bit more than they otherwise did. So I'm pleased with it and I feel like it's done. Before I share the photos, just a quick shout out to my Patreon supporters. These folks help make this channel happen, so big thanks to all of them. Patrons get early ad-free access to all of my process videos and real-time unedited versions of most of my videos, as well as well, technically it's a monthly live stream, but it ends up being weekly because I just do it every week. And behind the scenes videos of my room and my process and so on. So here are the close-up photos. As you can see, the shading, you can see it up close a little bit better than you can from a distance, and I really do think that it makes a difference. It's totally optional though. Here are those beautiful layers over on the left-hand side. I really love that background. I've got to revisit that idea for background paper again sometime. Here are some of the places that you can find us on social media, including the website for our Kit Club and the Facebook group. Make sure you check out the Facebook group because there's lots of fun things always happening over there. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you've ever tried a gallery wall with labels or other scrapbook embellishments and how it went for you. I'd love to hear your experiences with this technique. Take care and have a really great scrappy week.